Today with the economy, I'm joined now by David Adonri, who's joining us via Skype, I believe. David, if you can hear me, how are you doing?
Yes, I can, Ebuka. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being with you.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us. I want to go straight into it. We're out of a recession officially, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. 0.11 growth we witnessed in the fourth quarter of last year. Looking at 2021 and looking at the budgets that Mr. President has proposed, how are you feeling about what this year will look like? Any different from last year? I mean, the pandemic is still with us, especially because of that.
Of course, this year is going to be different from last year for several reasons. And even international financial bodies have come up with their forecast that this year the Nigerian economy is likely to grow by up to about 2 or 3% as a result of several factors. First and foremost, the measures being taken against the pandemic are all on course, especially the global vaccination is on course. And then we also have the crude oil market that has picked up. That is another positive attribute of what is happening in the global economy now that will rub off positively on the Nigerian economy. So from those two perspectives, we are sure that this year, 2021, is going to be different from 2020, save for the worsening insecurity, especially.
Okay. David Adonri, I don't know if you can hear me. I think we lost you there. I think we'll probably reconnect at a later time if we can connect, because I wanted to ask more questions about, yes, the recession seems to be over, but just yesterday we heard from the Central Bank of Nigeria talking about the fact that officially the dollar to the Naira rate has been pegged at 417 Naira, I believe. Inflation is still going up. So the average person on the street doesn't seem to be feeling, that things might be looking up, and the cost of living is extremely, extremely high. And we'll come back to that and hopefully continue the conversation if we can get a connection at some point. Okay. David, can you hear me? I believe you're back with us.
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, I just wanted to ask a follow-up question, because you're talking about the fact that this year is going to be a little different. But we just heard the Central Bank governor talk about, adjusting the Naira finally going over 400 Naira to the dollar. The inflation rate is not any better. The cost of living generally. So the average person, yes, all of this, the statistics and the economics of all of this might be looking a little positive, but for a lot of Nigerians, they don't seem to feel any of this. Things are really, really bad for everybody.
Yes, Ebuka, this is what analysts call jobless growth. But this time around, we have an inflationary growth of the economy. And generally, for an economy to be meaningful and positive for the citizens, it has to be non-inflationary growth. Because we may actually as well regard this growth as having been propelled by nothing else other than inflation. Inflation has actually been with us for quite some time. Since August 1999, the economy of Nigeria has steadily been experiencing inflation, and it peaked last month at 16.47%. And so what we've had in the recent past is not just a recession, but it's a combination of recession and galloping inflation, what is referred to as stagflation, a very deadly kind of economic crisis. And so while we have exited recession as a result of some measures that were taken by the macroeconomic authorities, especially the fiscal measures taken in terms of the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan, and then also the expansionary monetary policy the central bank embarked upon. Those were factors that took the economy out of recession. But again, the expanded money supply in the economy as to provoking or exacerbating the recession, the inflation that had plagued the economy since 2019. And so where we are now is still not comfortable because we have dealt with a recession, but inflation is still galloping, you know. And the funny thing, anyway, well, perhaps it's a coincidence. You know, the last recession we had in 2016, it took us more than a year, and it was a lower recession of a contraction of 1.73%. It took Nigeria over a year to exit that recession. But now we have exited a recession of over 6% contraction, you know, and it has happened within 6 months. So it's quite magical. Also in 2016, the recession was also a stagflation. It came with serious inflation. In fact, at the end of 2017, inflation had galloped to about 18%. But now we are still dealing with 16.47%. And if the expansionary monetary policy continues, then it's likely that inflation may not be abated. And so we are still faced with a very serious economic handicap, which is inflation. And the funny thing is that some of the measures that have been taken, like the expansionary monetary policy to combat the recession, can also provoke inflation. We have actually seen the symptoms presenting itself by way of increase in the demand for equities. We have also seen the impact of the expansionary monetary policy on foreign exchange, exacerbating or rather reducing the value of the naira. And so, but the expansionary monetary policy is not sustainable. Along the line, the monetary authority may need to come in to deal with the excessive money supply, which is beyond what the economy can accommodate now, in order to deal with inflation. But dealing with inflation again is like a double-edged sword. It can take the economy back into recession, you know. So the economy is actually at a dire situation as we speak now.
I completely agree with you, and I think every Nigerian would also agree with you because we can feel it, and we can feel that, you know, things are really, really bad at this point. But let's just end maybe hopefully on a positive note, because the last time the GDP was rebased, like we were told at the time, you know, the entertainment sector became a huge factor. There's a lot of new economies that are unfolding across the country, especially in tech and some parts of entertainment as well. What sectors are you looking at that might drive, you know, the growth for the economy this year?
I believe, just like you have mentioned, the telecoms sector was resilient during the pandemic. The banking sector was also resilient, and perhaps the tech sector can positively impact the economy. But the major challenge actually is the rural economy, which is in very serious crisis due to increasing insecurity. And the rural economy, that is agriculture and solid minerals, ought to contribute a lot to this recovery. But the good thing is that the petroleum sector is also contributing very well. So if the petroleum sector combines with those sectors that you mentioned, telecoms and tech, perhaps we can see a sustained growth that can bring down inflation on the long run.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Hopefully we can get you back sometime in the future and talk more positively. We're looking forward to a better 2021 than 2020. I say this every time. Nothing should be as bad as 2020 was for Nigeria. So hopefully this will be the beginning of hopefully, you know, better things for us. Thanks a lot, sir, for joining us.
It's a great pleasure being with you. Thank you.
All right.